Welcome to the Content Champion podcast. We provide the training and tools to help you become a content marketing champion in your online business. Introducing your host, the content champion himself, Loz James.
Hi guys, welcome to the Content Champion podcast. Thanks for listening. On the show this time, I'm delighted to be speaking with SEO and content marketing expert Andrew Holland, founder of UK-based Zoogly Media. I first encountered Andrew in the Facebook group for Brian Dean's excellent course SEO That Works, and was instantly struck by the fact that Andrew not only knows his stuff, but is generous when sharing his knowledge with others. To gain the benefit of his experience, I wanted to talk with Andrew about a great post he has written for the Zoogly blog, how to explain the ROI of digital marketing. As I know many people listening have difficulties with this, especially related to content marketing, whether for their own or client businesses. As befitting his high level of expertise, Andrew shared some great information in this podcast. So let's dive in. Thanks for coming on, Andrew.
Pleasure to be here, Loz. Thanks for having me.
Now look, before we answer the question of how to explain the ROI of content marketing, can you tell us your backstory, please, and how you got started in digital marketing?
Well, to be fair, I have a very unusual background. I joined the police at age 16 years of age, which is unusual anyway. Way back in 1995, they ran a cadet program, which was full-time. It was subsidised by the local government, and it allowed youngsters to work for the police. You know, it was a full-time position, and learn about the role of the police officer, as well as gain lots of different skills to prepare them to join the police at age 18, which I did do. And I remained in the police force for the next 17 years. But about 6 years ago, I was falling out of love with the job, to be fair, for lots of different reasons. But I started I started teaching martial arts because that's my background. I had a heavy background in self-defense and martial arts, obviously linked in with the police. And so I started teaching. The class we set up bombed. Nobody came. And from about that date, I pretty much wanted to know why no one came. What was the reason why no one came to my class? Because the instruction was good. We had 2 instructors. We knew what we were doing. So what was wrong? So I started to study marketing. And we'd set a website up for the club. And just when we closed the doors of the club, because it wasn't financially viable, I kept the website and just decided to start blogging and stuff like that, and on a simple GoDaddy site. And what then happened is I got a call from BBC Radio 2, it was, which in the UK, for those listening elsewhere, is like a major radio channel. And I got a call saying, do you want to go on an interview to talk about self-defense? Yes, I do. What's the audience size? 8 million listeners. And, and I was a bit like, hold on. And I went to do the interview, and I came back, and that day I went on the website, and my traffic had gone through the roof, and I was thinking to myself, how did a $7 a month GoDaddy site get me in front of 8 million people? And I became almost in love with that concept rather than the old self-defense. So I was still in the police. I started learning more about blogging, learning more about online marketing, and started getting some great results, started getting some traffic to the site. I'd come home at midnight and spend 2 hours learning about digital marketing, reading sites like Viper Chill, Digital Marketer, Brian Dean's Backlinko site, and Neil Patel's Quick Sprout, all those different sites that were around. I was studying and getting results. And then, sadly, I got diagnosed with chronic asthma, really bad chronic asthma. So the police basically said, you can never go outside again. I was 37 at this point. So from being 37, I think I was 36, I think I'd say at that point. And they say, you can't go outside and do the job you've joined up to do, whether I liked it or not. Being outside as a policeman is what you do. And so I made the decision to leave. And because of the success I've had with my own blogging efforts, I made a few calls and got a few clients straight away. And that's what started the ball rolling.
And tell me about Zoogly, your business.
Yeah, well, basically, Zoogly, what we do is we're a dedicated content-focused agency. So we're a content marketing agency. Our goal is to create content be that in a blog format, written format, or be that using social media. That's what we do, and the results, it's been really good. We do SEO as well, but we're more of a content-focused SEO agency rather than a technical SEO agency, as I would call it. So we produce anything up to 22,000 words of content a month for clients, and we mainly focus on long form as well. What we call power pages and over 2,000 word long articles that get lots of like shares. And initially now we're doing viral content. So a lot of the content we're creating is getting a lot of viral traffic. And in fact, I know I did a viral video for a client over the weekend, and that's just hit 80,000 views on Facebook in the weekend.
Wow, okay, blimey.
Yeah. So we're reaching for clients now. We've got 2 clients that are reaching 1 million people organically on Facebook every month.
So within that context of all that success and experience, if you're explaining to clients or you're proving to yourself within your own business what the ROI of content marketing is, it's one of those elephant in the room subjects for many people. So why has proving that all this stuff works been such a problem up to now? Give us a general overview of that, if you would.
Okay, well, you've got a couple of issues that happen at the moment. Okay, you've got 2 camps. You've got journalism and you've got technical SEO. And you've got lots of writers. The world's full of writers out there. I can go right now and I can go onto a writing site and get a 1,000-word articles for like $20, and that's content. And then you've got guys who can go and do SEO for cheap and and expensive as well, and they'll do technical issues with your site. What ends up happening is that, yeah, sure, you might have someone who can write content for you that's good, or you might have someone who can do some technical SEO, but ultimately none of that matters unless you're getting the money in the bank account for your business at the end of the day. And I think what's definitely happened in the past is people have hired SEO people with the belief that SEO person is going to turn their business around. We'll get them ranked and that'll be it. And other side of the coin, people have hired writers, and they think, well, writers is going to help me. I'm going to get loads of traffic and get loads of business that way. And it doesn't work. And there's been a very negative, and certainly in my experiences, there's been a very negative association with SEO or digital marketing and the results people get from digital marketing. So people are spending money on digital marketing and they're trying to measure ROI, return on investment, and they're not getting return on investment because of a very, how should I put it, a very poor set of expectations, and that leads to what a lot of market distrust. People think SEO is a dodgy game. In fact, I was at a meeting a couple of months ago with the Chamber of Commerce locally, and they were saying to me that SEO is a shady game. And so if you think to yourself, if brick and mortar business owners think SEO is a shady game, what does that say about the industry and where does that feeling come from? And it's come from people being burned, hiring bad services or having poor expectations and not getting the results they want.
Okay, so convincing people then that they can get value for money within that context is very difficult, but there are ways of going about it. And on your blog, zoogly.co.uk, you identify 6 definitive ways of measuring content marketing return on investment. I'll just go through them all, then we can talk about each of them individually.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah.
We've got measuring the 0 moment of truth scores. Then we've got showing the reverse ROI.
Yeah.
Then there's the diet analogy.
Yeah.
The contrast technique.
Yeah.
The ROI of your mother technique. And the definition technique. And there's a great example you give here. So let's back it up then and go to looking at measuring 0 moment of truth scores. So what's all that about?
Okay, and this for me is now the key thing that people are missing out on. A Scandinavian airline in 1981, and I forget the name of the gentleman who run it, was in trouble, and they discovered through looking at the customer journey that there were moments of truth, or moments where the consumer exerted a lot of energy. And by focusing on those moments and giving a great service and great product, that lived up to expectations in those moments of expended energy by the consumer, that they would gain better results. So they decided there were 3 moments of truth, and the first moment of truth is at the point of sale. So traditionally you'd have a stimulus to buy, be it a desire or a TV advert or whatever, to come, and so you'd want to go and buy a good. So the first moment of truth was the point of sale. You've seen the product, you're buying it. The second moment of truth came when you actually tried it. Did it live up to expectations? Did it do what it said on the tin, what you wanted it to? And the third moment of truth is when you became a repeat customer. Because of that expectations, you repeat customers. And if you think about with car dealerships, this happens all the time. With a car, somebody will choose to buy a car, a model. They will try it. It will live up to expectations. They will enjoy it. And then they will keep buying that car model for the rest of their life until what happens is it doesn't live up to expectations. Because we're creatures of habit. What Google found out in 2011, they did a significant survey and research project, is that because of the birth of the internet and mobile devices, that people's habits were different. And before purchasing now, they go through what they call the 0 moment of truth. So where people do a lot of searching for answers to questions, and, on the blog I'll go into this and I'll talk about that. But it's, so for example, I've got friends and family who've never had Thai food, and I use this example on the blog. So if I tell them we're going for a meal, a Thai restaurant meal, and I tell them where the restaurant is, people these days will go to the website to see what dishes there are. And you will have questions such as how spicy is the dish, and what's suitable for them, what about their allergies, all these micro questions. And if those questions aren't answered, it gives concerns, and invariably somebody will choose not to go with that product, or not even to come for the meal or book a meal there, or even speak to the family and say, I don't want to go there, And that's like a real world example of how it works. It's the same with cars. If I'm thinking about buying a new car, if I go researching for a Volvo and I go to the car dealership website, my question is does that car fit my child's bike? And I look at the website, and nowhere on the website is a picture of the boot with some regular items in it or a description of the size. And for that reason, I don't get the answer to my question. So I'll go back and I might do some more searching and choose another model of car. Google discovered that those micro questions or micro moments before somebody goes to buy something are essential, and the brands and services that answer those questions within their own websites are going to be the winners.
That is absolutely fantastic. So if anyone listening to this wants to know how to start their content marketing with a simple strategy, literally, as Marcus Sheridan, the sales line, says, you've got to just answer all those questions and hoover up all the search traffic related to those micro questions.
Exactly. And, you can go to Cura.com and you can see all the industry questions people are asking. You can go to forums. It isn't necessarily all about getting traffic to websites, and this is the big issue with people now, is it's about actually converting people. And how are you going to convert people? By giving them what they want, the answers. And now this is the next leap, I think, in the evolution of marketing, is that at the moment people are too focused on traffic and rankings, when actual fact is they're missing the point of ROI is ROI is return on investment, as in how much money are you making from your business through digital media, and all full stop. And on a general ROI score, when people ask me about return on investment, I will say, well, you won't know what the return on investment is until you look at your sales figures after the period of time you've been doing this for, because that's ultimately what matters. Yes, we can track things and we'll go through that, but for me, it's about how much money there's coming into the business from that form of marketing, not traffic. And certainly traffic's a vanity metric anyway. And, even talk about conversions. You might not convert straight away, but you might answer the questions and they might physically come to you or pick up the phone. There's lots of ways of converting people. But if you can answer those micro questions, Google has proven with ZMOT, or 0 moments of truth, that is essential today.
Okay, so let's move on to the second tactic here, improving ROI. It's showing the reverse ROI. What's this one?
Okay, well, and this for me is a really important issue, and it's the old race, isn't it? I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, massive fan of his, and I listen to a lot of his stuff online. Speaks a tremendous amount of sense about early adapters. So now, I mean, I had a conversation with somebody today. Said I want to start an Instagram campaign, and I want to get 40,000 followers on Instagram. Okay, well, you're starting that today when Instagram is very competitive. You're not starting that 2 years ago when it was less competitive. And people have got to understand that people who have started early on with anything, and early adapters to a platform or to digital marketing full stop are ahead of the game. And the reverse ROI really is about the issue about doing nothing. So, for example, if there are 10 businesses locally and there are 10, or just a real basic business here, sandwich shops. There are 10 sandwich shops locally, of which the owner of one sandwich shop decides to do, or the owner of 9 sandwich shops decide to do no digital marketing at all. And they think, no one's doing any digital marketing. Yet, what happens is one sandwich shop embraces it. They're on Facebook. They're putting out the world's biggest sausage sandwich clips. They're on YouTube. They're paying for Facebook ads. They're investing in a website. They're out there every day, every morning, putting out a Facebook promotion between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. every morning to talk about their sandwich shop to all the area. They're invested heavily. What ends up happening is that because their business grows, the market itself available for the other 9 is going to shrink. So if you don't get involved in digital marketing now and somebody else does, what's going to happen is the damage is going to happen to the others, and it's not going to happen to the one that embraces it. So those that don't get involved in digital marketing, you're going to be affected by those that do, and you're going to be behind them, and that's going to cause issues. So the reverse ROI basically is saying, look what happens if you don't do anything. And if you don't do anything, your competitors do, you could be seriously damaged. Not now, not in a month's time, not in a year's time, but the next 2 to 3 years, this effect will really take hold on your business and you will be playing catch up, and that's hard.
It's quite a stark warning, isn't it? And look, all that talk of sandwich shops is making me hungry. But number 3 is the diet analogy. So tell me about that one.
Okay, well, the diet analogy, I mean, years ago, I used to be a fitness instructor in the police as well. I used to do the gyms and stuff. So I used to do nutrition programs, and, I used to box and do judo, so I had to watch my weight. And, there's a very big saying that if you want to know what your body will look like in the future, look at what you're eating today. And, that's quite sensible, isn't it, really? It's basic. And it's the same for digital marketing. I mean, there are 3.26 billion internet users at the moment. And by 2017, there will be more internet traffic than all the prior internet years combined. So think about that for a second. It's growing. Internet use is growing. We've got voice searches coming on board, which is going to help even, you're going to open the market of Google with using voice searches to older citizens who haven't perhaps gone into technology because of the keyboards and things like that. So technology is growing, the market is growing. And if you want to know what your business is like today, going to be in the future, look at what digital marketing you are doing today. And so many people are leaving digital marketing as something that they post once a week on Facebook, maybe. They might write a blog once, but they don't do it again. Or they might run a Facebook ad once. And this is the issue. If you want to look at what the business, everything's going digital, marketing is going digital, and you need to get people's attention. And if you don't start getting people's attention today, then your business will be affected in the future. So, and that's another stark warning, really, is that how can you possibly compete and with other businesses that are doing this? And let's look at kids. If you look at kids, I tell you this true story. This was, and I put it on Facebook as well the other day. I go into my son's bedroom and I said, speak to him and I said, Noah, can you open your curtains for me? He comes back, says, I don't know how. I turned to him and said, Noah, you've just designed your own 3D city in Minecraft. I think you'll manage. And, and that is the truth, that we've got youngsters now who are living in a virtual world. Computers, technology are the bread and butter for their life, and they live and breathe it. They want access to use. They use Google. It's like they've grown up with it. Those youngsters are going to be adults, and that's the future market. So if you think that a 16-year-old is going to ever go out and buy a newspaper, then people are crazy wrong. Well, that 16-year-old is going to be the consumer for businesses in the next 2 to 3 years, if not now. Obviously, they are now for a lot of businesses. But, you think about a lot of other clients, if your customers are over 18 and, they are going to be growing up and they are going to be using digital marketing and digital services, and they will find out about products digitally through Facebook, through Snapchat and Instagram and Google. And if you are wanting a business that lasts a number of years, you go into business and you want it to last 10, 15 lifetime, you want to hand it to your children, you've got to invest in digital today, because that's where your future clients are now, and that's where they're going to find out about stuff.
And there's so much that comes out of that. I agree on the Minecraft thing. My kids absolutely love it. You and my eldest said, come and have a look at the world I've created. And I looked at it and thought, this will just be a little bit of this and that. And it was amazing.
Yeah,
a whole, the technical digital savviness that they've got is going to put them light years ahead. So like we say, we've got to keep up with this, just generally, but certainly in terms of businesses marketing online. And the other thing that comes out of that is you say 3.6 billion people have internet access, and you start thinking then, well, sort of what are the other 2.4 billion doing? Do you know what I mean? And look at the growth that's going to come in these markets, probably places in rural China and other huge economies where internet access isn't readily available. But think of all those other consumers that are going to come online, and your company could be putting their products and services in front of them, but they won't be if you're not doing anything and you're simply being left behind.
You're listening to the Content Champion podcast, showcasing the training and tools you need to become a content marketing champion in your online business.
We're back with Andrew Holland. We're halfway through. Let's go and look on then at the next in our ROI, sort of proving the measurement of content marketing, as it were. The next one, number 4, is the contrast technique. Tell us about that.
Okay, so the contrast technique, this for me is a really useful way. Whenever you're talking about digital marketing, for some reason, everybody's obsessed with ROI. They are obsessed with ROI. But people then will go and pay for a newspaper advert or go and pay to a local newspaper website, and they will happily hand over money and without a thought about ROI, because it's almost like a method of thought. And a classic example, I went to see a hotel chain about 12 months ago, but they never came on board, and because I didn't actually speak to the owner, it was the manager I spoke to, and he basically said that the owner was very he was getting on in years and believed that paying for newspaper adverts to get an audience, and he wanted a younger audience coming into his hotel. He believed that paying for newspaper adverts was the best way, because he physically thought that was it. Pay money out, goes to the newspaper, and and the contrast technique is basically a case of saying, can you tell me what your ROI of your last media campaign was, or your last marketing campaign, not digital based? And the vast majority of people will struggle, because how many people do you know who read that print advert in the newspaper? How many people will know that they turned the magazine? You can say that you had, you can say you did a radio advert and it went out to 22,000 listeners, but how do you know 22,000 people were listening? And that's the issue with ROI. It's people become fixated about digital ROI, and they forget to look at their past campaigns. And if the past campaign, and they can turn around to you in a meeting and say, yeah, we did a print campaign and we measured how many people went through a coupon or something like that. That's cool. But the vast majority of people will say, yeah, well, we picked up extra business that month, and we asked them, they went through the newspaper. But again, you go back to them and say, well, okay, if that's working well for you, why are you coming to digital marketing? And by asking those questions, what you're doing is you're encouraging them to think about marketing. You're encouraging them to think about, well, how effective is my recent campaigns for the spend? And what you're doing is you're just engaging their brain rather than attacking you about what's the ROI of digital marketing. You're actually getting to think about what's the ROI of other marketing, and it just helps to smooth that sales process down.
Okay, and number 5, moving on to another Gary Vaynerchuk example, I think this is, the ROI of your mother technique. A bit controversial, maybe, this one.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that comes from Gary Vaynerchuk. He's got 2 videos if you search for him on Google, and one is the ROI of your mother, which came from a speech. He was with a chief marketing officer of a company, and the marketing officer, he was giving some, good justification of the ROI of digital marketing, and she kept saying, "What's the ROI? What's the ROI?" And he turned around and said, "What's the ROI of your mother?" I mean, whether it did or didn't happen, who knows? But this is what he says, and what he says that to is that you can't track the ROI of everything. At the end of the day, Gary Vaynerchuk is a successful businessman. He's got a massive company, it's growing, and you can say, well, what's the ROI of his mother? And he will say it's everything. The fact his mother knew exactly how to deal with him as a child, how to encourage him, how to punish him, that has made him where he is today. But you can't automatically track everything in your life and look at what was the ROI of reading a book. What was and people, the second video that he brought out about the ROI was to solve it for people. And the answer was the ROI of your mother the statement was to make fun of the traditional metrics of media, of traditional media, which goes a little bit into the contrast technique. But the ROI of your mother is all about showing them what you can track with digital marketing. I know that I can go on a Facebook right now and look at a client's campaigns, and I can look at how many people clicked it. I know that how many people viewed it for more than 1 to 3 seconds. I know how many people viewed it for 10 seconds. I know how many people have liked their pages this week and they want to engage further. We can tell how many people signed up to an email list every day. We can see where the visitors from their website are coming from, how long they're spending on site, and which pages they go to next. You can see, even with heat maps, where people are clicking on the site and where they're viewing. And so the ROI of your mother technique is not about necessarily, what's the investment of your mother when you get back from having a good mother. It's about actually saying to people, look at all the amazing things that digital media can give you. And all the data that you can get. You can't get on traditional platforms. And yes, ROI always comes down to, is the business doing better? Because if you're investing 25 to 50,000 in digital marketing a year and your company is losing money, and I'll touch on this in a second, and you've got questions to ask, but you're thinking, well, the ROI isn't working, something's not working there. But if you're investing 50,000 and your company profits have gone up £100,000, then something's going right. You can provide all the data, say, look, this is what people are doing on your website, this is how much traffic you're getting, but ultimately the sales figures and the money coming in will dictate the ROI. And it's about how valuable that information is. And there's an Evian campaign, I know you'll know about this, was that that's in the book Contagious by Jonah Berger, which is an excellent book. I suggest people read it, which talks about the nature of valuable virality. And Evian, you may have seen the campaign with the dancing babies and things like that. Well, Evian put a campaign out. They put that campaign, probably paid a lot of money to have this video, these dancing babies, and it was a viral smash hit. It was the most viewed viral video of all time. And you would think automatically that the return on the digital investment would have been amazing. No. That year, Evian Water's sales slumped. Yet, they'd had the most exposure they've ever had before on digital platforms. And the problem there was that nobody linked water with dancing babies. No one linked it mentally. So its sales didn't improve. Everyone liked the commercial, They weren't bothered it would buy everything. It could have been selling cars. No one cared about that bit. So, and there's a classic look at ROI long term. Yeah, the ROI, if you look at the stats, you can say, yeah, it's great. Stats were amazing, but it didn't deliver the ROI. The money didn't come in, so it didn't work. And that's, but you can also say, with the ROI of the mother, say, look at these stats, what we've got here, and what's happening. Is that marketing campaign sending visitors to our website? In their case, it wasn't. And that's the good thing about the ROI of the mother. You can say what data is working and get a lot of information from that.
And this actually touches upon similar topics that I was talking about with Rand Fishkin of Moz, where he was saying that it doesn't matter, you can measure lots of things, and it's quite easy with digital platforms to get all the stats you were talking about and all the figures of what's working, what isn't. But unless it's in line with your overall, business goals of what you want to achieve, as that Evian example proves, it's not going to move the needle for you because it doesn't have that relevance to market as, tied in with what you want to achieve as a business. So you've got to keep that all in line. And this ties in as well with our sixth example of how to measure content marketing ROI, which has got a wonderful story about Dave at the cinema that goes with it, which I loved on your blog. And this is the definition technique, and this really hits to the heart of how digital and content marketing works.
Yeah, well, basically, one of the first books I ever read on digital marketing was Common Sense Directing Digital Marketing by Drayton Bird. And if anyone wants to read and know everything about digital marketing, that's the book. It's David Ogilvy actually endorses it, I think. It's a phenomenal book. It's massive. It'll take you years to read it and then reread it, but it's fantastic. And it's the principles of digital marketing and direct marketing are the same. But he defines marketing as any advertising activity which creates and exploits a direct relationship between you and your prospect or customer as an individual. So that's really about being personal with somebody. And also, in addition, he talks about Peter Drucker, who stated that the purpose of business was not simply to make money, but to create customers. And again, that for me is exactly what digital marketing is about. It's not necessarily to make money, although obviously that's one of your business goals, but to create customers. So, I talk about the ROI overall, is about how much money is in the bank, really. Well, you're only going to get there if you go out there and create customers. And that is what digital marketing is about. And Gary Vaynerchuk, again, talks about day trading attention. And this is so true. We're bombarded now with information, emails, messages, everything, videos. So as a result, it is harder to get the attention of a customer who you want to need, who needs to know about your business. And the example I used in the blog, and I'll go through it, it's a very simple, quite personal example, because although I'm not Dave in the story, and I'm sure people go and read the story, but it's really about me as an individual and about other people I know. And, say take this Dave. Dave's a hardworking guy. He's got 3 young boys, gets up at 6, and he goes off every day to his office after dropping the kids off at Breakfast Club on a 45-minute journey. He sits in traffic, spends all day working, and then heads off home and sits in more traffic. And I'm sure that is a classic story of many men and women out there who don't work from home, who are living just the same life as everyone else. But Dave loves films, and he loves taking to his family to the cinema. He does. This is Dave. This is me. I used to love going to the cinema with my parents. I used to love going to Dad. It was a big thing as my childhood, having the popcorn, having an ice cream. He knows it. Dave wants to take his kids to the cinema. But you know what? Take 3 kids to the cinema on the weekend is a massive bill. By the time you pay for parking, the drinks, the popcorn, the tickets, it becomes almost unaffordable to a lot of people these days, and it does. But a lot of cinemas now, for example, have these family tickets where you can pay for a monthly fee and you get so many unlimited access or so many trips to the cinema, which massively reduces the cost of going. So he would be the ideal customer for a cinema, and you could swap cinema for any other business example you wanted to for whatever you sell. But the problem is, Dave doesn't know about that product. He doesn't know about your product or your business. He doesn't know about this cinema ticket. And that's the issue. So if he doesn't know about it, he can't purchase it. And your job as a digital marketer is to create Dave as a customer, to make Dave a customer, to bring him in. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to the things that he loves. He loves films. He loves going to his cinema. He loves going to his local cinema. So the cinema needs to engage with Dave. And it could be a case of creating a Facebook page that talks about all the greatest movies and the latest movie reviews and shares the best movie reviews from the internet to that Facebook page. I don't know a single cinema that does that and who actually gives other people's opinions rather than their own on films. So it's about sharing content. So Dave, in his spare time, when he sits down at 9 o'clock, he wants to read and watch the latest film trailers. He doesn't want to have to search through various websites. He just goes to the local cinema Facebook page, which has got all that information for him. It talks about the films. It talks about the different things that are going on at the cinema. It talks about the new blockbuster that's coming out on Friday. And Dave starts to get excited. So he goes to the website, reads more. He signs up for the email newsletter. And at that point, you're able to tell Dave, because he's giving you his permission to engage with him on a regular basis. So what you can do then is you can tell him about the new film that's coming out and tell him about your new product, your new ticket system, the family membership, and you've got Dave engaged. You've got him. He's going to come to the cinema on Friday. He's thinking about it on Monday morning. He's thinking about it on Monday evening. On Tuesday evening, he's thinking about this great time. He's actually looking at the film. He's excited because you've engaged him. You've given him information that he wanted to. And as a result, you've got a customer there who goes to the cinema. He doesn't just watch a film. He has an experience with his family. And then those kids, his kids, will remember that experience, and they too will take their kids to the cinema. And you know, that's like a short version of the story, which is on the website. But, you know, I think that's a very natural tale of how digital marketing works, about giving people value up front and giving them what they want and getting them engaged with your business.
And it's a great example because it aligns everything we've just talked about, your business goals with your digital marketing strategy, with your content, and how they all work together to turn that, you know, cold prospect into a customer, a qualified customer. So, yeah, it can be as simple as that. And if you're measuring the right things along that process, through that process, you can get a very good idea on what your return on investment is for, you know, recruiting in a customer like Dave, can't you?
Yeah, of course you can. I mean, the thing is, you know, how else are you going to get customers these days, this day and age? And this is the big thing that ultimately, I didn't put this in the blog, but I have got no problem asking people, how are you going to get your customers? And I do mentoring for the Chamber of Commerce for small businesses, and that's one of the first things I'll ask to put a new mentoree. I'll say, how are you going to get your customers? And most people think, I'll join the business initiative, or I'll go networking and things like that. And realistically, you know, the ways to get customers aren't that great anymore. You know, the economy's changing. People aren't earning as much money as they used to earn. It's tougher. The people's attention spans are differently. You know, so the fight to get customers is tough. So you've got to invest in that. And a company that fails to invest in digital marketing in this day and age is failing to invest in their business. And it is as brutal and as hard as that. And because if you think newspaper adverts, or if anyone thinks newspaper adverts are going to work, even TV adverts. I mean, let's face TV adverts. This is what I do when the TV's on. An advert comes on, I go and check my Facebook. And that's the truth. So that company might have paid millions for an advert, but I'm checking my Facebook when they're putting it on primetime TV, because that's what people do. And then also they watch on-demand TV, you know, so I don't buy newspapers anymore. I don't buy magazines anymore. I consume my media digitally. I consume on Facebook. I'm fast. I live a fast-paced life. I'm sure my lifestyle is reflected by a lot of other people's. It's very similar. I've got 2 young kids. I'm out the door, school run, picking them up later for the school run, you know, and, you know, I've got only a finite amount of time, so I will engage with the people that give me the information that I want about things that I love, and whatever that is, it makes life easier for me. That's the other thing. You know, I don't want life to be hard. I shouldn't have to go searching for information, which goes back to the micro questions and 0 moments of truth. If the information's there, it's a classic example here. The other night, this is not digital marketing, but this is copy. I was it was my wife's birthday the other day, so we went out for a drinks and a cocktail bar. So we get to the cocktail bar, we've been there before, and they changed the menu. And the menu, the drinks, just tell you what the ingredients are. They don't tell you about the taste. They've not invested in something as basic as copywriting to tell people what the drinks are and what they taste like and what the expectation is for that. And the result was my wife ordered a drink, it come, and it tasted vile. And it did. It was coffee tasting. She didn't like it. All the other cocktails were lovely she had, and we sent it back. It come back, and they put something else in it to try and take the coffee away. Well, there's no way she would have ordered a cocktail that tasted coffee. No way. And she chose. As a result, we left. That bar did itself out to probably another £50 of revenue that night because we left early, because we'd had a negative experience with a drink because of the lack of information, the micro questions weren't asked. So straight away from now on, she's got doubt about anything else she orders from that menu because she had a bad experience. And that's the same digitally. Yeah, that's a basic real life ZMOT in the physical form issue. But these things are going on all the time. And how many businesses are losing customers for not answering the micro questions?
Well, it's fantastic stuff. And, it just goes as well to show that if you are a small business listening to this and you haven't got a lot of time for content marketing or blogging on an ongoing basis, strategically, if your goal is to, get in a certain amount of customers that you need to make a profit, to break even, then go on to make a profit, and you aren't answering those questions, a great thing to do would be to put together an FAQ resource on your site and answer all the core questions. Go and talk to the different people in different sales departments, get all the common objections and questions and problems that your customers have asked you in the past, document them all, write them down, put some multimedia in there, some images, and get together a sort of a resource and education centre where you're answering all those micro questions so that exactly what Andrew said there, you don't have any doubt, there's trust created. And then you could share that content on social media, repurpose it into other formats. But you don't have to embark upon some huge, massive, blogging campaign if you don't want to and you don't have the resources. There are different things you can do, aren't there?
Right now, it's never been easier to get customers by gaining attention. But this is the big issue here is that I had mentored someone the other day, and one of the first things we did was go through frequent FAQs. And she come back a day later with FAQs, and she's got a couple of clients on board. Just literally because she put the FAQ questions, and it allowed her to look at the questions in the business and provide answers for that. So mentally, it prepared her for questions in the physical sense when she gets calls or goes to meetings. Plus, also, it's just answered everyone's questions there and then. It's detailed. It's a great way to start. But I know businesses that haven't got websites are just running off Facebook pages these days and are doing amazingly well. They're killing it. Small businesses killing it on Facebook with pictures and the phone number, and that's pretty much it. Going on. My friend of mine who's placed a £5 ad on Gumtree has now, as a result of that £5 ad, I think earned about £30,000 worth of work in total from that. And it just goes to show you, it isn't always about massively doing 2,000-word blog articles. That might not suit your client. But if I was a local joiner, a carpenter, and my job was to install fences, I might literally take some photographs whilst I'm installing a fence before and after. But I might not just put them on Facebook. I might put them on my website as well. So it's a look at case studies. And they can answer questions because people are seeing the work. There's lots of ways around digital marketing to make it successful for small businesses especially.
And I think just before we move on to where we can find your great website and look at your products and services and then go on to the PS question, the final thing we'd have to say is if you're listening to this and you think it is a lot of work and you think, I don't know if I could get involved in that, then it's quite simple. Prepare to be left behind, because as we say, if you aren't doing all this stuff, then your competitors will just steal a march on you. So it's definitely worth doing. And everyone I've worked with who puts in the effort to do this does see results from it. So, okay, Andrew, just before we head off to the PS question, could you tell us where you can find your excellent blog and also get the details of your content marketing and SEO services, please?
Yeah, certainly. If you go to zoogly.co.uk, and it is spelled ZOOGLY, zoogly.co.uk, that's my website. I'm a British-based SEO agency. So, go to there. I've got some big articles on there that have been shared quite a bit. And please get in touch with me. We do social media, and we do content marketing and SEO. So if you need those, give us a call.
Wait for it, listeners. Here comes the PS question.
Could you share one other advanced content marketing tactic we can use right after the show?
Okay, yeah, I can, funnily enough. Right. This is going to fly in the face of 99% of every bit of advice that anyone gives you about content marketing. And what I'm going to say is this is stop writing to gain traffic and rankings. Start writing to gain the customers you want. And I'll go into detail on that a little bit in a second. But basically, too many people are writing just to gain traffic rather than thinking about what that content is going to do. And what I used to do in my role in the police was I used to work with informants. And we would gain intelligence, and we would use that information, that content, to go and get a search warrant for an address. And that was the purpose of our content, to go and achieve a goal. Well, if you want your content to get a client, a specific type of client, you need to write content. And what you should do is sit down at home, and I've done this, how I got started, sit down and look at who your ideal client is. Write a list of 10 clients. And you can go as high as you want or as close to home as you want. It might be the local hotel that works down the road. It might be a car dealership. Name that client. Write it down. Name those clients you want. Then go away and think to yourselves, find out about who's involved in those companies. Who makes the decisions on marketing? Find out. Go to LinkedIn. Google it. Find out about these people. Then go to Facebook and find out if these people have a public Facebook page. Find information about them. Look at LinkedIn. Go to Twitter. Make a Twitter list about these individuals and see what they're sharing on Twitter. Look at what the type of content they're sharing. Look at the LinkedIn. Try and connect with them on LinkedIn if you can, but just don't go straight into the sales. And then what you need to do is look at what their business needs, look at their business, what issues their business might have, and write content around that particular issue. And then once you've got that content, send it to that individual, and send it to the individual with a little bit of a note on there saying, hey, we've written this great content. I'm sure you might like it. If not, thank you very much for reading. Thank you, Ty. I wrote this around this subject because I believe this is where your business could generate greater income, or words to that effect regarding whatever project you're on now. And that will gain the attention of the person you want. Who does that really these days? Writes an article for somebody other than just an email. So not an email with an article with useful information. And that is a great method to get attention. Because even if nothing comes of it, you've made a connection with somebody and you've actually gone to some town. So the kickback is that information is going to be useful for other clients, but you're writing it for an individual, writing it for a company, and that will help you to gain a client.
Well, that's it, folks. That's how you do it. Just go away and do that. That's brilliant. Great answer to the PS question. Fantastic, value-packed call. All that remains to say, Andrew, is thanks for coming on, and I wish you every success in future.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here on this fantastic podcast.
You've been listening to the Content Champion podcast, available at contentchampion.com and on iTunes. Until next time, thanks for listening.